Welcome back, everyone, to the LEC. It's time for our second game of the day. You can see them setting up there. The Mad Lions up versus Astralis. So, when we look at how both these teams performed yesterday, of course, Mad Lions were able to win quite handily. Astralis, despite a good early game, didn't manage to get out the win, but I think we can look at a couple of things as what defined their games yesterday, maybe starting with the Mad Lions. A lot of excitement around this lineup. How did that translate into game?
Yeah, I think there was a couple of different things that stood out to me. I think one was the fact that we didn't see Nisqy going for some of these more roaming mid laners that were kind of hinted at when we saw him coming into the roster. But I think that then lent itself to incredibly strong skirmishes when we got towards that mid game, specifically at that second dragon, where they're able to take a really clean fight, get themselves set up, utilize the Lucian Nami that they had down that bottom lane, and really pop off from that position.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the champ pool for Nisqy just being on the Victor here, really strong sort of kite back, because when you're playing against the Vi, the Cassante on the opposite side, that's a ton of dive that you're dealing with, and they were able to work off that very nicely.
I think as well, kind of surprising SK a lot, because you get that Rod of Ages and Seraph's build now coming through from the Victor. He's surprisingly tanky, so we saw a couple of times where SK would try and go for these engages onto the Victor, and it just went completely wayward. They just thought that they were able to catch him out, not happening at all. And I'm really glad to see that Mad Lions have kind of taken a new step into that, because their mid game was really strong yesterday, and it's really cool to see them step up, and I think that was one of the big things that lacked in summer.
100%, and especially in situations where like sometimes you're just like SK are the ones looking for the engage on you, so Mad Lions have to react very, very quickly, make that call to turn around immediately after, again, a situation where everyone jumps on Nisqy and the man's unkillable.
We see now SK also lost our previous game to Vedius, so they are still figuring out what they want to do. Regardless of that, though, I think Matt showed us a great game plan versus them, and it's almost like Carzzy had never left. And then Hylissang's debut was also fantastic, right? I think it's one of those notes we also made with Vitality, for instance, in terms of their engages and team fights. It looks like they're very much on the same page, even though they had to slot in a couple of different members. In terms of a debut for Hylissang Carzzy, this is better than what anyone had expected, I think, right?
Yeah, it's a great way to open it up. Now, I'm a little bit sad because it's on the Nami. It's very boring down there. He presses E and lets Carzzy sort of do his thing.
He was involved in 14 out of the 15
I'm not
kills.
saying he did not play the Nami well. I think that's another thing you can add to the book of champions he can play, but it's not the Thresh of old.
But I do agree with Ender that it didn't feel like Hilly of old. It didn't feel like Mad Lions of old. It didn't feel like we were kind of seeing them going into the mid game going, hey, look, we're going to just coin flip it. We're going to which has kind of been the whole talking point around this team, was like, oh, we're actually going to play very well through the mid game. We're going to set up our wave states correctly. We're going to play this nice and slow. And it was a very different look than I think anyone was really expecting from Mad Lions. Like, impressive look, but very different.
Because everyone was like, okay, on paper, Carzzy and Hylissang, that's like the craziest bot lane in existence. Like, they're going to win or lose the lane at level 2 every game. But no, this seemed a little bit more tame. And I think that is definitely something that's a good sign for Mad Lions. I think that, obviously, preseason expectation was maybe a little bit of an exaggeration.
Yeah.
But for them to come in and look very stable on day one, great news.
Yeah, I like that note of like, yeah, they took it slow a little bit. Let's take a look at Astralis then, who didn't take it slow in the early game. We've talked about it already. It actually happened in every single game that we saw early action, but they really did it well, you know, with the help of the top laner and the jungle. They couldn't keep it going, but that is a positive point, right?
Yeah, we're talking about the Finn level 1 just jungle invade on the enemy red buff. Like, didn't have any help, just did that on his own and enabled 113 to actually have a very good opening game. I thought he was able to get an advantage in the early clear thanks to Finn. And then also some of the team fights he was able to take with the resets on the Viego. He was converting in some situations where it didn't look like Astralis should be making the fights as even.
Especially around, I think there was that fight around the 12-minute mark in that bot lane where all Bedlam just broke loose. Yeah. And you could see where 113 was finding those moments to really pop off. But I think as we kind of look towards the later portions, though, that where it fell apart, right? Yeah, yes, you had this cool Fiora in the top side. It was great to see it brought out, but it didn't really fit like with the rest of the team, where you kind of wanted to play side lanes, but they kind of wanted to play team fight. It all became a bit messy when they actually had to go toe-to-toe with their opponents.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure how to like feel about their draft overall, because like you say, it's Fiora Rai is solo lane, so like you do want to play side lanes in some way, but at the end of the day, you are going to have to walk into some fights with a bot lane like sort of like passive, but with the Ashe ults to look for plays. Like, the Ashe arrow was the only real way to look to force fights. So if your side lanes fall behind and Finn wasn't opening up and finding a lot of opportunities in sides, all of a sudden you're left in a situation where it's only the Ashe arrow that can try and force a fight.
And that's why I was really surprised to see their bans, because I would love, say, instead of the Viego, though it did very well, something like, you know, the Sejuani or a Maokai, but they actually banned the Maokai themselves on blue side, and I think that is a big worry for Astralis coming into this, because when you look at the drafts, it was the Maokai, the Heimerdinger, and it was the Yuumi that they banned on blue side. So when you're thinking, hey, look, we want to get some of these big power picks, that's 3 big power picks that I'd assume is first pick blue side. They're not taking them. And then they're getting some cool picks, but they're not actually able to execute on them, which is causing major issues now in their mid game.
Yeah,
Yesterday,
the fight sort of played out in a way where you've got these like Fiora, Viego, they're kind of trying to play on their own and look for opportunities. But I will say, in fights that are as sort of awkward at times as that, when you're working with that, Kobbe did look very strong on the Xayah. Like, he was very reliable in backsides, like almost pulling away a couple of team fights for the squad as well. So yes, you are a little bit more self-sufficient on that Xayah pick, but Kobbe piloted it very nicely.
And 100%, it felt like it was Ruby versus Kobbe, right? And I feel like coming into this game now, I want to see them take that step back. Like, yes, playing this kind of carry top style is very fun and can be really cool to kind of structure stuff, but I do want to see them go back to basics. Go back to what worked at least a little bit for you in summer, which was trying to play around that bot side, getting Kobbe ahead, getting him in a position where he can carry. Because I feel like with the Xayah having, 6-7 kills in the early stages, if you actually just have a front line for Kobbe, he can be in a position to carry that game, but just didn't have the front line to do it.
Jeonghoon, give me the pike. Play around that
true.
bot lane. I don't want this nonsense, Ash. Please don't arrow me again. I'm not actually that far. Ash is good. Ash is good. Trust me.
But I think that's a good point. He was one of the players that we talked about the most coming into last year and across last year as well, in terms of Jeonghoon and what he could do, not only in the engages, but roaming around the map, not just the Pike, but others as well. So maybe that will be a path to victory for Astralis. Let's head over to our casters for our second game of the day.
Ender with the royal wave there.
Hello, Ender.
Yeah. Good to see you. I see that your mithril was stolen overnight.
Yeah.
Are you worried about cave trolls?
I'm pretty sure he is the cave troll.
No, he's very attractive. Man. All of my jokes are Lord of the Rings. I've realized this. If you want me to do a topical reference, all I've got is Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
I don't have anything else.
I've never read the books. I've only seen the movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Books
I'm
are
that
very
guy.
good.
I'm
There's a
that
bit in the
guy,
books where Saruman basically lays waste to the entire Shire. Like, all the hobbits are slaves. It's very interesting.
Hell, that sounds really dark.
Yeah. Huh. I mean, the Lord of the Rings is quite a dark
What are you talking
series.
about? It's full of happy little people, and there's like there's a ring.
Are you thinking of the Smurfs?
Yeah. There's like a white horse, and there's a man with a beard, and he's like, "Hello," and it's happy.
Yep.
And he's like telling them to fly. It's like
it could be anything about Santa as well. Yeah. It's just like elves and a white man with a beard delivering presents.
Context matters.
It does.
Anyway, we are about to talk about some actual League of Legends. We are ready for our second game of the day between Mad Lions and Astralis. Mad Lions coming off the back of a pretty dominant win yesterday.
Yep.
Elyoya was the player, in my opinion, the early game. Whew. He was. We keep getting this. I keep getting just. There's a single of me that I didn't want.
Wait, you're releasing a new single?
No, stop it. Elyoya was stop it. Is that what the single's for? They're just like ready for if I ever break out into song. No, we're getting ready for the teams. It's not about me. It's about League of Legends. Okay, Mad Lions. Stop it. Trying to focus right now. Mad Lions.
Mad Lions
yesterday against SK. Elyoya, I think, was really dominant in the early game. I think Carzzy and Hylissang surprised a lot of people with how they were playing in the team fights. And Astralis, I think that the execution in terms of how they played their comp, like we say it at the beginning of every split, why make it more complicated than it needs to be? Well, let's find out. Let's see if they make their complicated intros as we get ready to introduce the teams.
Nisqy was so tunneled in on being ready to play.
I gotta get in.
I'm sitting, I'm ready. They don't call me Captain Nesquik for nothing. Quickly, let's get into the game. Let's go.
I kind of feel like, they need to warm up to these player intros, I was kind of expecting a little bit more like dabbing, some Fortnite dances here and there.
Some flexes.
Yeah, but nothing yet. I think we gotta
we'll get there,
they gotta warm up a little bit more, you know what I mean?
I've been watching a lot of the LPL and watching some of those intros.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, right. We just gotta, encourage them. Maybe we need a box of props to give them for their walkouts.
This feels like an extension of the Vedius cinematic universe.
No.
Anyway, let's get into the draft. Maokai banned once again, no real surprises there. Caitlyn taken away by Mad Lions. We have seen that banned in the majority of games. Alongside that, oh, I wonder, would it be Heimer? Would it be Wukong removed? Maybe a Ryze ban Vedius. Oh, I'm just so smart. You know, I have all this knowledge about the current patch.
Nice prediction about the Ryze ban.
Incredible, right?
Yes. Oh, this is where they all start chanting Astralis.
I mean, the thing was, Mad Lions beat Yumi yesterday, so it's like, well, we can't even win with it. There's the Lucian ban. No Wukong ban there.
Well, the Syndra will be the first pick for Dajor. Let's see how Nisqy will choose to respond. I'm still waiting for things like the Echo to come back, you know, good old Jizuke throwback. The side lane split pushing Echo monster that is such a good pick into the Syndra. But instead, we are going to see the Varus Sejuani, so really shaking up the draft. Viego locked in once again for 1-1-3, so he's going to go towards his comfort. Nothing too surprising there. You already have a pretty strong mid-jungle duo, but Astralis prioritizing their top side of the map, so they're going to round things out with the K'Sante. And honestly, a very strong top side, right? K'Sante can fall back a little bit in terms of the early laning phase, very early levels. He doesn't always get the push depending on the matchup, but you know how powerful this champion can be pretty much at every stage of the game, and it is going to be a menace to deal with. Mad Lion's going to prioritize their bot side. Are we going to get... Ooh, I was really hoping we were going to get some Hylissang. We'll have to wait and see if that does end up coming out. The Fiora locked in for Chasy. Strong performance yesterday from Chasy on the Renekton. A massive lane bully into the K'Sante himself. And he really dominated in the 1v1, so I'm excited to see a little bit more Korean Fiora. Love to see it here in Europe.
Well, Finn played the EU Fiora yesterday into the K'Sante, the opposite way of this matchup. Did manage to get a solo kill later on into the game, but really wasn't able to have the impact apart from maybe a little bit at that level 1 that we kind of expected. So Chasy here trying to bring the Thunder up towards that top side. Kobbe's Xayah being banned away. Nautilus as well removed means that Mad Lions don't have quite as much pick potential as perhaps they could. And the thing for Mad is that you leave your support for last pick here, get rid of Kobbe's comfort picks. You already have CC all over the place with the Chain of Corruption and the Glacial Prison. You can go for something just to push out the lane if you want for Hylissang, or you could look for something like the Leona or the Rakan for that extra engage potential.
Yep, they can be very flexible here. Question is, how will Astralis round out their bans? They did remove the Nautilus, so they're going to choose to remove something like the Rakan. Do they maybe want to get rid of other potential counter picks? Are they afraid of something like a Kassadin, perhaps? They are instead just going to remove the Karma. You did talk about Hylissang having a lot of options. Does he want to go for the push? We did see the Varus Karma in the last game.
I mean, so my current concern for Astralis is you don't have a true engage, right? You could look for something like a Leona. I was wondering if they'd go like Sivir Lulu here and just accept the Varus has a little bit of push, but you can answer it with Sivir Lulu down towards that bottom side, and then later on, you use that Sivir ultimate to engage your team fights. But really, you want maybe a tank engage support here for Jeonghoon. You could look for the Leona. Akali picked into the Syndra in the mid lane. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the game if you want, Vedi. I know you are an Akali aficionado.
She's a really fun champion. She's really fun to watch, but I'm mainly interested in Nisqy, specifically on Akali, because he said in an interview yesterday how he feels like much more of a complete player, and I have criticized his Akali in the past. So I'll keep an eye on how he does. Mad Lions gotten themselves a bit of a 1-3-1 comp here, with strong side lane presence. It's a lot more about making sure that these laners have a good laning phase, more so that they are like dominant naturally in the lane. Of course, Fiora can be very dominant in the K'Sante matchup, but how is Astralis going to round out this draft? Okay. So you remember what at the beginning when I said, I wish teams would keep it a little bit simpler. This isn't simple, man. This is like the opposite. You've got a bit of pick. You've got like a lot of mobility. Your engage is kind of there with a Bard ultimate, but it's not really like an engage. You kind of lose on side lanes because both Akali and Fiora will be able to outscale you in the 1v1. The team fighting, I would argue, is a little bit weaker because you don't have a lot of straight up
So I
front to back.
I understand all your points, but can I just counter?
Yeah.
Woo Okay.
Yeah. Did you just bard quote me with me? Is that what you just hit me with, a bard quote?
The thing is, Kobbe is a very self-sufficient AD carry, right? So if Jeonghoon can get out on the map early, you have some pretty good skirmishes on the side of Astralis. If Jeonghoon gets onto the top side, gets this Syndra ahead, gets this Viego ahead, perhaps you have the possibility
right
to
now,
snowball
if
the
they
game
start
away.
winning, they can just win more?
Yes. Yes, it is.
I feel like the Astralis have just... I mean, we'll see. I don't have anything against teams drafting compositions that are inherently harder to execute. We'll have to wait and see. They have a very safe bot lane. We will be seeing Jeonghoon roam around the map a lot. It is his playstyle. Yep. He does love to roam. And we know that 113 is a player that likes to be proactive on the map right from the start. So this is a jungle support duo I expect to be prevalent. And the mid lane is an easy place to attack. Syndra has a lot of great setup. And once you get her going, she becomes very difficult to deal with later on into the game.
Just get ahead.
Just get ahead.
Win the game. Ezreal, a powerhouse as the game goes on as well. I wonder if we'll see the Triforce build or if we'll see the crit build. You know, you can go Navoid Quick Blades, Kraken Slayer, try and do quite a lot of damage. We'll see as we get on into the game. Mad Lions versus Astralis up next.
Here's what I will say.
Hit me, Betty.
Mad don't exactly have a huge amount of lockdown for, like, Kobbe either.
Yeah, how do you get on? Like, he just arcane shifts everything.
And right? I will say that, like, late game, I do see, like, Syndra scales incredibly well. We know how Cassante is just so powerful. Pretty much, like, well, throughout the game.
So you're saying if they start winning, they can win?
No, I think that even if, like, they don't get huge advantages early, I think that the, like, straight front-to-back team fighting can be a little bit difficult, but Mad's composition is inherently two champions that kind of want to find those isolated 1v1s rather than group up with their team, whereas Cassante quite likes grouping. You have a lot of pick and poke potential with both the Ezreal and the Syndra. So, like, maybe I wrote Astralis' composition off a little earlier than I should have. I can see some avenues, but on paper, I do think that Mad's comp, I say it should be easier to execute, but they still are playing themselves a 1v1, so it's a little non-conventional compared to what we've been seeing a lot of around the world.
I think I also understand the logic that press R, go-in comps are just easier to play in the start of the season.
Yeah, exactly. The start of the season is one of the big ones, right? Especially when teams are finding their form, their identity, how they want to approach the game, who they want to play through, and like also like figuring out the meta. Sometimes just making it really straightforward, giving yourself a very clean and easy win condition is the best thing to do. And like we're going to keep saying it, like these single wins are really important. You can't afford to like ramp up later into the split anymore. You kind of need to get as many wins as possible as quickly as you can. And Mad already off to a great start as now keeping my eyes on the junglers. Both seem to be doing a full clear on their red side.
Yep, 1-1-3 working from bot side to top. Elyoya doing the symmetrical version of that, going top to bot, and can look down towards that bottom lane for a possible gank. Nisqy was chunked out in the early portions of this matchup. Was caught, of course, by Jeonghoon with that Cosmic Binding, and now... Oh, not Cosmic Binding. What's the Bard Q called? The Binding of something. Binding of Isaac? Probably not. Anyway, no. He caught with the Binding early on.
Cosmic Binding.
It is Cosmic Binding, okay.
Yeah.
For some reason I thought that was Lux Q. It has been a while since I've had to say any of these names.
You're right, that's true. Yeah, that's an easy... Yeah, I see what you're saying. I have no idea what Lux Q is, it's just Lux Q. But yeah, unsurprisingly, no explosive... Ooh, I saw you try to do that here. This last hit on the cannon, did you see that? Taking notes?
Yeah, checking. I've been taking notes from Hilly for a long time. More from his bad games than his good games, that's the only issue. But yeah, Hylissang probably going to spend quite a lot of time around Carzzy. Can move around with Elyoya as the game goes on, but the expectation is that Hylissang will be shadowing Carzzy, trying to keep him safe down towards that bottom side, and Kobbe will be left on a little bit of an island as this game does develop. 1-1-3 coming up here. Chasy would have spotted this. Does use the Ghost, trying to get away from this one, of course, still has the repel, and will be able just to dash away from the Spectral Maw.
Really going to come off the back of that. Nisqy hasn't chosen to use the pot yet. He's playing very dangerously here. Using that Shroud is very, very risky. You're looking for it, but Elyoya is there to cover. Well, good play there from Nisqy. Should be able to TP back into lane at just the right time. You can see in terms of farm, he's doing very well. Hook going to go wide from Hilly. He expected Kobbe to try and dodge the direction that he was going in. But, you know, the classic mind game of, like, you try and think 2 steps ahead, and then Kobbe's like, no, I'm just going to keep
He outsmarted you, outsmarting.
Correct.
Basically, yes.
By not outsmarting.
Exactly.
That's the brilliance.
That is...
Often in my solo queue games, I give my opponent too much credit, you know, and assume that they will know what I'm about to do, but in fact, they have no idea what I'm doing.
Or they really know what you're about to do, and then it's like the next level of anticipating what you're doing. Chasy here, of course, no ghost on him. Finn looking to trade in. The Untofu strike's gonna hit. Chasy just dead to the Carzzy.
Yeah. Finn's going to be pretty happy with that one.
Yeah.
Outplaying Chasy in the 1v1, and that was just a straight-up misplay from Chasy. He didn't have the ghost available. There was little he could do to get away from that, and just a big misplay. If we can get a replay, we can break down more exactly as to how he ended up falling short there. But in this matchup, that's definitely not what you want to happen. Have happen, rather.
Bit of a struggle for Chasy, maybe already adopting the EU Fiora. He's been here for a little while. Just infects people that play in our solo queue ladder. But Dajor here is going to be able to back and TP back into the lane. So let's have another look at this. Chasy goes in, trying to get onto that mark.
So he uses, wow, that was great play from Finn there. So Finn uses the W to knock Chasy back underneath the tower. But Chasy using the riposte very early means that he doesn't have it for any of the CC that Finn has at his disposal, which means that Finn doesn't have to be worried about anything. Elyoya was there to actually cover Chasy to help him push this wave underneath the tower. But unfortunately, Chasy made one too many mistakes, and Finn was quick to punish. So well played there by Finn. We'll have a little bit more control over this lane now. Both top laners securing themselves a sheen on first back.
Just that Ruby Crystal for Finn because of the first blood. He's about 500 gold ahead. Both junglers been a little bit silent in this early game. We've seen them hovering, we've seen them looking for something, but haven't quite been able to find it. Yesterday, 113 was able to get out to an early lead on this Viego. Very much a comfort champion for him. I believe he went like 8-1 last year on it, but didn't have as much impact in the later game yesterday. Here, looking around this mid lane, Elyoya is here. Hylissang's on his way as well. Nisqy already hit that 6. Can dash away with the Shuriken. Spectral Maw is going to hit, but Hylissang is here with the Lantern in time. The binding that hits onto 2. 113 has to flash away. The hook just short. As in the mid lane, all do about nothing. No one goes down.
Well, Jeonghoon. Everyone knows that you're a very prominent roamer, but Hilly is no stranger to roaming as well. When I saw this first iteration of the Mad roster, this is kind of what I expected.
Where
a lot of investment towards mid.
Where are you going?
Doesn't have flash, no ult.
The Shuriken misses 113, trying to put the fancy feet down, but just can't do it. Nisqy takes the kill.
Easy pick up there by Nisqy. And this was just a continuation of the mid jungle support from Mad, moving into the top river. You know, you help the mid laner helps you. And by working with Elyoya, they were looking to set up for that Scuttle Crab. 113 ends up losing his life, so the kills look to remain even. Carzzy's going to be bullied a little bit, but even on the original Mad Lions, this was the type of state that Carzzy was used to, often being left isolated as Kaiser would look to roam around the map, often working with Elyoya to try and facilitate Humanoid. Looks like Mad Lions is still trying to emulate that same structure.
That's worked well for them yesterday. Today, they have that kill on Nisqy already. No TP or flash on him. Dajor's flash obviously down as well. Finn continues to trade in the top lane. Chasy really can't do too much about this. The Q3 knock-up a possibility. Chain of Corruption just short there by Carzzy, as Jeonghoon and Kobbe yet to tick over to that level 6. Chasy's going to have to back once again. And Finn can take his time, push this lane in. Chasy no TP means that he might end up losing a couple of those minions to the tower.
Still up, but the Herald spawning in about 10 seconds time means that expect to see some movement on the map, and already we're starting to see it from Astralis. Great use of the Bard. What's it called?
The
E.
Oh, dear me.
Okay,
Benny, why would you put me on the spot like this? I
you're
do
a
know it,
play-by-play.
yeah, but it's just been a while since I've cast a Bard. It's a magical journey. There we are. Yeah.
That's what we are every time we
Caretaker
cast
Shrine,
together.
magical journey, tempered fate. Yeah, I do know
That's what we do.
them.
We take our fans on a magical journey together.
We take them on some sort of trip at least.
Finn.
Finn going all out, and Elyoya forced a little bit low. Aftershock does proc on him. 113 looking for this Rift Herald. Chasy going in as well.
Never mind.
Rift Herald already secured. Chasy now not on the right side of that wall, but should just be able to walk away as the magical journey is taken away by Astralis. Glacial Prism's going to hit though. The knockback from Dajor, not enough. Nisqy dancing around. This one goes in with perfect execution, and it's enough for Nisqy's second kill.
And that's a big pickup for Nisqy in the mid lane. He's falling a little bit behind in CS, but he's just working with his jungler a lot right now, making sure that he can find advantages across the map. And Mad didn't feel confident enough going for that fight around Herald. Of course, there were a man down rather, because Kobbe and Jeonghoon were able to rotate up that much quicker. But Really nice ultimate from Elyoya onto Dajor, and that he really couldn't get out of that situation. Twice now, though, I've seen Nisqy use the ult into E, not able to find anything. I saw Nuke do the same thing earlier. Part of me does wonder if that interaction, because in the past, you could, like, because your ult basically put you on top of someone, it was like really hard to miss the E, and we'll get it in a second. I'm sure observers can give us a bit of a slow-mo. Just slow-mo, just as Nisqy's ulting over the top of the Syndra. So you'll see, like, he doesn't get knocked back. He's going to use the ult and then into E. Oh, it actually hits the minion. Okay, so he was a little bit unfortunate there. The minion was just in his way, which meant that he couldn't land that E. He wouldn't have needed that auto attack if he was able to land it. That likely would have been an easy kill. But overall, great chain CC, an easy pickup for Mad. Nisqy now already with the Sword Boots. The dangerous thing for Syndra in any assassin matchup really is the second that the assassin starts getting ahead, you're in real danger. If you ever lose your flash, you're basically dead. So it's something that Dajor has to be very cautious of for now. He does still have it though. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him build something a little bit more defensive to mitigate some of that burst that Nisqy's looking at.
Your solo mobility. Elyoya has flash and ultimate, and you have really nowhere to go unless you can flash away from that. And then also Nisqy is in a position now where he can just 1v1 you, as you say, Vedi. So very difficult for Dajor. He had a bit of a struggle yesterday as well with getting caught out a few times in the mid game. Here, the early game has not gone his way. One player on Astralis that is off to a strong start in this match, though, is Finn, as Jeonghoon and 113 try and join them up towards this top side. They have the Herald, so they might just be looking to push in this wave. Only 2.5 plates left on the tower up here. Finn has been able to chip away at those quite effectively without the help of his team so far.
But this is something that we talked about in the draft, right? Expecting to see Jeonghoon and 113 roaming around the map together, looking for picks, playing around their lanes. It's just kind of what you want to do on the Bard, primarily roam and look for plays. And as you rightly called, the Herald will be dropped, unlocking this top lane.
There's a collapse coming out. Look at Nisqy, look at Elyoya, they're behind them. TP immediately from Dajor, realizing this is not in the best of shapes. They look for Chasy, but that tower yet to fall. The stun gonna go down onto Chasy, and the tower's still healthy enough to keep Astralis at bay. Temper Fate only hits one, but it's Nisqy, and that is perfect actually for Astralis. Nisqy looking for that shuriken. Dajor joins the fray. Hylissang here as well to continue the fight. Unable to find too much as of yet. Has the flash, has the hook. Might just look for a flash play here. Instead, just looks for the hook and lands it. Jeonghoon takes a magical journey out of there, but all he can do is see Dajor die in front of his very eyes. Mad Lions get their third kill of the game.
That time, Hilly, he was able to play into the mental of Dajor. He threw out the hook. Oh, does end up missing it onto Finn.
We don't count that one.
We don't
count that one.
But you can see what Hilly's doing here. Pretty consistent in terms of how he's throwing out these hooks. He's always expecting the pros to dodge. And that time around, Dajor ended up falling for the bait. That kill went over to Nisqy once again. One of the big carries, someone that you really want to be setting up for success. So have a look at Hilly here. He's going to throw it, and Dajor kites back into it, realizes that he's going the wrong way, tries to move back, but too little, too late. 113 is able to get away to safety as Nisqy gets stunned underneath the tower, but overall, good collapse from Mad will result in a kill. No major objective gained, other than the fact that they will protect their top tower, giving Chasy a little bit more time to catch more farm, more XP, and kind of get back into this game a little bit, as he will find himself 1,000 gold down.
Yeah, Finn already got the Iceborne Gauntlet there in the top side. It's going to be very difficult to deal with, very sticky as well. And you can see Elyoya trying to shadow his top laner, knowing that perhaps Finn will step a little bit too far, looking for that final plate, and the pause comes out. Hey guys, first of the day, okay? First of the day, but hopefully the only one of the day.
I'm not. Stop. Stop.
Just saying,
I'm
Vedius.
not
As a caster,
song.
your duty is to be entertaining.
I'm a caster.
It doesn't seem like it some of the time. You're a very good singer.
Listen,
your vocals recently, top notch.
Listen.
If we praise him enough, by the way, maybe he'll consider. Really solid. Also, the eyeshadow. Oh, it's a very, very powerful stuff, Betty. I saw the guitar playing.
I'm dying.
I like the hair.
It's a hard song to sing without the music, because it's like very intense.
Okay, great. We can just sing the music for us.
Don't you? Don't you?
I was going to try and sing it myself, and then I realized most people would just mute the stream. So
you'd kind of have to do it as like a ballad thing, you know?
A ballad. Maybe that should be your next.
Are they singing?
Reckless with my heart, apparently, is what
they are singing Reckless with my heart. But we're back in the game, so no singing today, crowd. What do you mean? Oh, this is what you came here for, the game. Right, let's... Oh, my word. All right.
So,
maybe one day. We'll see.
I'm just saying, Montpellier, very good acoustics.
Very good acoustics. 1-1-3 right now, hovering around Finn. We'll be able to finally secure this first tower of the game. Keep my eyes on the Dragon as well, spawning in about a minute's time. As Elyoya hovering around mid lane once again.
Dayor's got no flash.
No flash, as you say.
Oh, able to dodge forward, but just Nisqy can just chase him down.
Yeah.
Elyoya didn't even really need to come in to do anything there. The slow helped a little bit. Nisqy gets his second plate of the game as well in that mid lane. And really, it's a battle between who is further ahead and who can have more impact, Finn or Nisqy.
Tell you right now, Nisqy is so strong. Already level 10, getting very close to that first core item.
Plating will fall soon.
And Finn, while he definitely can be a menace, currently has very little magic resistance sitting in his back pocket. If I'm looking at that correctly, 46.
Yep.
I'm telling you right now, not an... Oh,
who wins?
Let's
who wins?
find out.
Finn.
He missed his E. That's not good.
Finn missed his Q3, though, so... You know, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But that's really going to be the matchup we have to watch for the next while.
Half a dozen of the other.
Yeah, because they're the same thing. Half a dozen is 6, right? So.
Yeah. Man, I thought you were talking about eggs, and I was like, what does this have to do with eggs?
You can talk about eggs. Like, it's just an idiom.
It's just an idiom. You calling me an idiom? All right, Dragon, 2 seconds time. K'Sante already in position. Jeonghoon and Kobbe have the push in bot, which means that they're also in position.
But Dajor doesn't have TP, and he's in the top lane, and they see that, right?
Yeah,
so
that is a little bit awkward. Yeah, look, they went into the river, and they were like, wait a minute, and then they're out of the river again. Nisqy grouping up with Elyoya and Hylissang. I think you guys are going to have to get used to us saying that, because this definitely is the playstyle that I expect from this team. Doing a great job of setting Nisqy up for success. They realize that, hey, we don't actually need everyone here. Chasy has more than enough time. Oh, actually, they're going to send Nisqy back. He's likely going to catch that top wave, and they're going to have Chasy push through that bot lane.
1-1-3 immediately pings over towards their Rift Tower, so they will start that up. It will be a trade across the map. And I do wonder a little bit for Astralis here. There's a possible pick here from Hylissang. If you can get a good lantern in, you can see 1-1-3 having to retreat. They realize they don't have the push in mid. They didn't really start this herald early enough for them to be able to secure it. They had gone down towards that bottom side of the map. One of those, like, as soon as you know Dayor's going top, you shouldn't really be sending anyone down to contest that Drake as Astralis.
Ooh, all in here from Finn.
All out as well. That's K'Sante's ultimate name, guys.
And it's funny because he went in and then he went out.
True.
It's just, Medic's just a lyrical genius.
You're the lyrical genius here.
I'm far too kind.
Can you sing for us?
Stop it. Ultimate goes... Oh, it doesn't go wide. It actually... Oh, it connects.
Gets caught there. Good tempered fate, though, trying to keep himself alive. Magical journeys himself out. The ignite is ticking, but won't be enough. 1-1-3, looking for something. Hylissang still has the flash and will invest it into his escape. And manages to remove himself from what could have been a precarious spot. Elyoya on his way down towards this bottom lane, tried to force Finn into a little bit more of a sticky situation, but Finn should be okay just defending under this tower. I'm not sure how much threat Chasy with the Divine Syndra and Elyoya have right now, especially with 1-1-3 in the area. But it does feel a bit like Astralis are playing reactively rather than proactively over the last few minutes. Contesting the Dragon, not being able to take the Rift Herald. Now they're doing something proactive as 1-1-3 comes down towards this bottom lane. Finn no all-out available. Chasy does have the ultimate riposte, gets the stun, Heartbreaker coming out, but Chasy's now in a 1v3 situation, and even a Korean Fiora cannot escape those. Finn takes the kill.
Big punish there onto Chasy once again. He's just a little overzealous, I feel. He fell for the same trick twice where Finn dragged him underneath the tower using his W. He ends up taking a tower shot, and then that just buys enough time for 1-1-3 and Jeonghoon to show up. It's been a lot about jungle support this game from both sides. And while Astralis have been able to find picks here and there, mainly onto Chasy, it's mad that have been really punishing Dajor in the mid lane. They've been funneling all these resources into Nisqy. They will secure this mid tower as well. And overall, Mad have a lot more control over the map. The gold doesn't necessarily reflect that, largely because you can see Finn sitting on a 2k gold lead over his lane opposition. Jungle pretty even, AD carry pretty even, and that's kind of matched by Nisqy in the mid lane. 2-level advantage over Dajor. That rocket belt now completed for him with large rods finished up next to it. So a lot of damage going to be coming out from Nisqy right now.
Shadow Flame probably up next for Nisqy. They're in the mid lane, and it feels like Mad Lions really have the run of the Rift right now. They can go where they want, they can get the vision where they want. You can already see the blue side of Astralis' jungle is littered with wards. Nisqy looking for the bot lane here. A bit more magic resist now picked up on Finn. He gets Nisqy underneath the tower with the Pathfinder. Finn already has got those Merc Treads, Iceborne Gauntlet, got the Aegis now, and another Null Magic Mantle, knowing that he's probably going to be the one assigned to deal with Nisqy, and he does that pretty effectively down towards this bottom lane.
Great awareness there from both spots, actually. I mean, I talked about Jeonghoon and 113 working together. Like, Jeonghoon has been glued to 113 the last 2 minutes, but he was right behind Finn in this bot lane, ready for if Nisqy wanted to look for a play. But Hylissang was sitting in this bush where this control ward is being cleared out, ready to offer assistance as well. Just goes to show how pro players are constantly thinking about where the enemy could be, what they could be trying to do, and then just in a position just in case. And, this time around, no one ends up losing their life as Mad extend their gold lead to about 1k.
And nothing too monumental for them. They're really waiting for this this soul win condition. You know, third Drake, you feel that Astralis will want to take that fight. Manamune on its way for Kobbe. He's got the Triforce, and although we haven't talked much about the AD carries, Kobbe is getting into a position once again where he can have an impact. Yesterday, he was the star for Astralis. Today, he could be the same. Ezreal, very difficult to lock down. Unless you hit him with a Chain of Corruption or a Glacial Prison, Mad Lion don't really have that chase potential onto someone as slippery as an Ezreal.
Really true. So much mobility really on both sides. Akali, Fiora, Cassante, Ezreal. A lot of champions with a lot of dashes, a lot of range as well on the side of Astralis. We'll see if they can take advantage of it. How much poke can the Ezreal land before it actually kicks off?
It does amuse me that when you're talking about the mobility, you're like, oh yeah, this tank bruiser top laner, yeah, huge mobility. Dash on every ability, can get behind you, can get in front of you, can dash to the side, can shield his teammates, can knock you up, has an auto attack reset, also does a lot of damage, gains bonus resistances when he goes into the all-out, also can chuck you over terrain, suplexes you, is John Cena, gives you the people's elbow. It's just absurd, really, what Sante can do.
And then there's Narcissus. Doggo smash.
Slow. Which is actually often more effective than Cassante, because you can't get away from that one, can you?
Yeah, that's the funny thing about Naz. He's just like, haha, here's all your mobility and wither. Alright, Dragon being started off by Astralis. Mad entering the river second. This dragon is melting, though.
Yeah, Chasy has TP, but where's he gonna go? TP goes not in the best of spots. Dale's trying to get away from this one. The magical journey coming out. Nisqy now isolated off towards the backside. Nisqy core flashes in. The dragon on the menu. The temper fate comes out. True Shot Barge doesn't do a huge amount of damage. Defender's already gonna go down. 113 trying to get into the pit as well. He steals away Nisqy's soul. The smite comes out. It's secured. Carzzy, I believe, took the dragon. Third of the game for Mad Lions. Heartbreaker out by 113. 1-1 either side so far. And Mad get out with the dragon.
What a chaotic fight. All of the gold that was sitting on both sides ends up dropping. Nisqy goes way too deep onto the backside. Doesn't have the stopwatch to buy any time for him to actually disengage from the fight. Meanwhile, Finn does the same thing. I don't think he was expecting that ultimate from the Bard to come through, which meant that the second that he dived into that pit, he was basically left completely isolated. It was an awkward situation for both sides, but it was Mad that ended up coming out on top. And you'll see here, Nisqy coming in from the flank. He uses Jeonghoon to close the gap. He tries to E onto 113, and he decides, you know what, I can actually take this 1v1, follows it through, but then he finds himself face-to-face with Dajor and Finn right behind. He's then forced to flash out. Good ultimate initially, but as you can see, Finn kind of isolates himself in the back of the pit. Dajor can't do much to assist, is able to get a bit of damage over the wall. Nisqy's E gets interrupted as 113 then is able to commit to the backside, but he's then immediately forced to get out, as it is the Varus that actually ends up securing it. The smite, it looks like, didn't come through from either jungler.
Yeah, I wonder if that was just a passive block from the Varus alongside an auto attack, because it was 662 health and then it was nothing. You know, wouldn't be surprised if Carzzy been building up blight stacks during that fight.
You have 2 stacks on jungles. I wasn't paying attention to the smites, but it might not always go on cooldown.
I didn't see either.
When
it goes on cooldown for 10 seconds, even if you smite.
Oh,
so
okay, then maybe.
It could be a spec overlay thing we didn't see in the moment. Obviously, someone will go back and flame us and be like, no, it was obviously
of course
2 smites alongside an Ezreal auto attack with Conqueror procs and the Syndra W.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. I'm too used to trusting the old one, but now smite is, of course, slightly different. Regardless, Mad have a dragon. Mad have a very clear win condition. Mad have a 1.5k gold lead. Mad is sitting pretty comfortably. And, you know, again, he's not a shining star, but Carzzy, coming into this year, was heavily criticized by the community. Hang on a second. I think that Astralis should be fine. Maybe I spoke too soon.
113 tanks are deliberately there. The Temper Fate's only going to hit onto 1 TP coming in as well as they try and look for Carzzy here. Does still have the flash, has the lantern as well. The stun's going to connect with that Cosmic Binding. Finn hooked up. Carzzy flashes. Now Finn a little bit deep as 113 might look for the chase, but can't find anything more to go forward with.
Okay, so Mad able to disengage from that small skirmish. Nisqy wasn't really in the vicinity to offer much assistance. I feel like that Mad, well, Nisqy could have looked to push a lane somewhere else on the map, but regardless, TP invested, said it won't be available for the next dragon. which will force Finn to hang around the bot side of the map. But as you can see on the minimap, Dajor already heading up towards the top side. Look at this vision, though, from Mad, all around the top side jungle. You can see heavy investment red wards around the top river. They've got these couple of deep wards in. They've even spotted out the control ward. And now Astralis is investing their time to clear out some of this vision. See if Mad actually looks to contest, because I can see Carzzy moving into the river. Also Elyoya hovering around that mid lane. Hylissang was covering for bot, but now we're looking to regroup with his mid jungle. Just a lot of posturing right now, just a bit of dancing back and forth as the vision comes through, and both sides looking to try and get as much money as they can, spend that money, and have as many item upgrades as possible ahead of the next fight.
It's always how much you want to invest here as well, because although the Baron is very important, the expectation is the next fight is around a dragon. All you're trying to do is stop Astralis from getting a sneak on the Baron while you set up down towards that dragon. Finn and Nisqy still trading here. Finn does have the knockback with the Intofu strike. He's going to take Nisqy on a bit of a magical journey himself, all out going in. Nisqy trading. Oh my god, you don't,
I was going to say,
you don't win.
I feel like Nisqy wins this. Why is he playing so scared? Like, and I wonder if in his head he was like, I don't know where enemy jungle is, I don't know where enemy support is. And he's like, Finn would only go this aggressive if they're here. But the second that he uses his all-out, Akali just, nah. Yeah. Nah, man. There's no way you're beating Akali. And like, he didn't even ult. So that's why I was like, Nisqy, why are you playing so scared right now? But in any case, he does get that kill on the Finn. That's kind of what I expect to happen as we move forward into the side lanes. And the problem is, you've then also got this Fiora, which is only going to get stronger as the game progresses. And as long as they keep these lane assignments, Akali into the Cassante and the Fiora into the Syndra, Mad is not going to lose on side.
Finn did also have goggles. I think he did not proc during that fight. Maybe a surprising amount of burst from an Akali, but she is kind of a champion based around doing burst damage, so perhaps not too surprising. 3,000 gold lead note, though, now for Mad Lions. 30 seconds on the next Drake, and you can see set up that vision around the red buff, that triangular area, the Bermuda Triangle of wards, as they try and make sure that Astralis can't step too far forward. Lantern a long way there for Elyoya if he wanted to take it. Nisqy is snuck in behind them. Who are you going for, Nisqy? Who are you looking for?
I'm hiding. Never mind.
It's not Twitch. He's now been seen as well, and Astralis like, oh wait, there's a Nisqy on his way. Astralis start up the dragon. Finn's going to try and mark Nisqy here.
All right, round 2, Finn. Want to try again?
He chips him down a little bit. Finn.
Hang on a minute.
Where you going, Finn? All the way around. They don't know where Chasy is either. So Chasy can get in behind them here, can dash across that wall. Jeonghoon's trying to come in as well. Hylissang going with a hook, but the Pathfinder's going to block them. Nisqy gets onto Jeonghoon. Kobbe has to flash away as well. Chasy chasing in. Dajor the first on the menu for Nisqy. And up next, you have to feel is 1-1-3 and Kobbe. Alongside him, Jeonghoon falls. Finn, the last man standing, can only stand and watch as Mad Lions devour him in the river. He tries to dash away. He will escape, but Elyoya is not having any of that. Continues to chase. Oh, it's Cassante. Yeah, okay, he has a million dashes. He gets out. Finn escapes, but Mad Lions will secure the Dragon Soul.
Wow, what an engage from Carzzy. His ultimate kind of went unnoticed in the fight, but it ended up hitting like 4 people, which locked them up and set up the 2 solo laners of Mad Lions to come in from the flank and just tear Astralis apart. Really well played fight from Mad Lions. In the past, this team was credited for their team fighting press. But just keep your eyes on Carzzy here. Look at this ultimate. Lands onto 1-1-3, spreads out very effectively, and kind of forces Dajor and Kobbe to split apart from each other. Then they get pincered between Chasy and Nisqy, and then they're instantly forced to retreat. Astralis don't even have an opportunity to play the fight, as pretty much they spend the whole fight running away. Finn tried to do what he could, but it wasn't enough. He was left isolated with the other 3 members of Mad Lions as they just teared Astralis apart.
Yeah, it feels like a fed Akali beats a fed Cassante.
Fed Akali beats everything.
Okay, well that makes sense, right? And after the early laning phase struggles for Chasy, he's now sitting in a very strong position as well. 20 CS up, 2-2 and 4, has a bounty on his head. Astralis trying to push forward here because the 1-1-3 has the 1-1-3-1 for Mad Lions has begun. Astralis will be able to take a tower in the mid lane for this, but Mad Lions willing just to be on the back foot a little bit. They didn't take Baron. Obviously, they only took the Hextech Soul, but they can now push out these side lanes. They have TP on Chasy. Nisqy's going to go back and complete his Zhonya's, so that's a full 3rd item for him, while Dajor is still scrounging for parts, only has bits of that Void Staff. You have to feel the Mad Lions will just set up around this Baron, get the deep vision that we've seen so often from them in this game, and then close this one out.
Don't be surprised, though, to see Mad use the Baron as a means to fight.
Yeah.
Because their Baron taking isn't the fastest when you have an Akali and a Fiora. It's not that it's necessarily bad with a Fiora, but it's actually more effective for Nisqy to do this. So he'll sit in a bush, sit in a flank, wait for Astralis to come, and then as they look to turn for a fight, then he'll actually look to try and get onto the back line, execute one of the carries, and then with a numbers advantage, that's when they'll look. And look, he's found Dajor, isn't quite able to find him though.
So Temper Fate will stop the Baron for a second. Elyoya, though, can restart it. Patience doesn't wear thin on that one. Nisqy looking for the flank here. Is spotted on the control ward. You have to feel that if Astralis just immediately engaged, there's a possibility they can do something before Nisqy joins the fight. No flash on him. Across the board, no flashes for Astralis, though. Hylissang going forward here. Finn trying to do what he can. Pulls Hylissang across the wall, but the Glacial Prison's going to hit on 1-1-3. And Chasy finds the flank. Kobbe already down. Second up is Jeonghoon. Elyoya dashing across the wall. Nisqy follows suit. And they can't choose. It's a plethora of riches. A plethora of death for Mad Lions. 4 down already. Hylissang looking for the hook. And 1-1-3 waits it out.
Hylissang, he's not having many hooks land today, but it doesn't matter. The hooks that land do in fact count. Mad Lions have the right set on the end, and they played the fight beautifully. The focus wasn't the Baron, the focus was the fight, and they're able to turn it around. Great performance from the solo laners in that final fight. Nisqy was set up for success by the jungle support, and now they're going to look to end this game.
Yes, they are, and they're going to do it in style. 15 kills to 3, a 9,000 gold lead. Mad Lions so far clean at the start of Winter 2023. I say that as Hylissang dies, and what a way to round it out.
This really was just dominance from Nisqy, but he wouldn't have got there if it weren't for his jungle support. Hylissang and Elyoya already looking like a seasoned duo in terms of how they move around the map, work together. And yeah, there were a couple combos, you know. I think like a good performance, like, yeah, okay, there's some things that could be improved from Nisqy's Akali, but overall, really great performance. Absolutely dominant, and he was just tearing through the team fights. And like, we kind of talked about it, when you have a lot of squishy members, you don't have a lot of lockdown for the Akali, she just kind of gets free reign. And he was really good at finding those avenues into the fight, finding those flanks, and he was just very good at tearing apart Astralis. So Mad Lions now find themselves top of the table, 2-0. Of course, still 3 games to go for the rest of the day, but a great way to start off your season.
Oh, it really is, and you can vote for one of them in your Player of the Game votes at LEC on Twitter. Elyoya, Nisqy, and Hylissang are the options. All of them obviously had great games. As you say, it was kind of a combination of those 3 that allowed Mad Lions to take home the win. And for Astralis, a bit of a struggle as at the start of the season. Another composition without too much hard CC. Weren't really able to find them a purchase on this game. You know, Finn had a good top lane, but apart from that, everything kind of collapsed around him. And you have to wonder how they're going to be able to bounce back, because they have another game tomorrow. Like, there's no breaks on this train of League of Legends. Right? You have to keep playing, and you need to start picking up wins pretty soon. Otherwise, you might be relegated to the bottom of the table.
Yep, 3 weeks of super weeks, basically. It's just relentless best of ones, all on the same patch, and Astralis. Yeah, I think the biggest feedback is when you are a brand new team, when you do have new rosters, when you've got new players trying to figure out how to mesh together, you got to keep it simple. You know what I mean?
Press
and I feel like that, I feel like that at its core, you've got a pretty solid jungle support. We just need to see a little bit more from Astralis.
And that's the hope. We'll see if they can bounce back tomorrow. But for now, we're going to hand it over to Sjokz and Guldborg at the desk. And Elyoya will also join them in a few moments' time.
Can you not see him, Medic? He was already here. Maybe you didn't, though. Hola.
Hola.
¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien.
¿Todo bien?
¿Y vosotros?
Sí, muy bien. ¿Y en la juego?
También muy bien.
Sí.
Todo muy bien, ¿no?
We're just kidding. We're just trolling with Guldborg. But since we have a couple of teams that's been taken over by big Spanish influencers, maybe we all need to work on our Spanish. Yeah.
We all do.
We all do. Regardless, your English is also fantastic. First up, congratulations on what a start from the Mad Lions, right? I feel like you can be pretty happy when you look at the 2 games overall. What are your biggest takeaways as to what you did well?
I think we played pretty well around mid jungle, both games. Like, we had some solid performances, me and Nisqy, I would say. But it was still like, I'm happy because we got both wins. And from these 2 games, I think there is so much to learn. So it's happy to learn. And, like, if you can learn and win, I mean, you take those, you
That's
know?
the best combo.
Like you're happy.
That's true.
Yeah.
I was really wondering because you know, Nisqy level 1, when he tried to get ward on enemy red buff as well coming into the game, he took a really big chunk of HP. How much did that influence like your early jungle pathing as well? That you kind of had to bail Nisqy out a little because it felt really close to him dying so many times in the mid lane.
I had to adapt, yes, but I'm used to my mid laner being 1 HP, so
Right.
it was like one more day in the office, you know?
Of course.
Like, Nisqy, sometimes he's not like a level 1, sometimes it's just he takes like the worst trade possible. So it's something that I've learned, you know?
Just another day in the office.
Exactly, yeah.
Regardless, it was a great day in the office. We have actually some replays of the kill scores mid because you were really duoing up a lot, just like we've seen you do in the past. Do you feel like your synergy with Nisqy is still evolving? Or
It is for sure. I think we have still so much to improve on, like in the Rift and outside of the Rift, both. Like, I think when you find like someone you like as a duo partner, like you can sync together well in the game, but it's also important really outside of the game. There is so many aspects that people don't take care that I feel like are really important. So.
You mean feedback, or do you mean like, you know, friendship, or what do you?
I feel like having a good relationship and knowing the other person. Like, I know Nisqy and I know when he's feeling down or sad, he's gonna have a way worse performance. Everyone, right? But I know now how to cheer him up. I also know when he knows that when he wants to play a champion, even though it's not the best draft, when he does this a lot, he has to play the champion. If he doesn't play this champion, it's not gonna go so well.
And last year, you guys were the best mid-jungle duo we pretty much had in the league. Coming into this year, do you still feel confident kind of obtaining that title for you guys? Because now we have additions with G2, with Yike now being together with Caps. How do you feel like you stack up against the rest of the teams now this year? And do you have anyone specifically you're looking out for?
Yeah, for sure. I think Yike, as you mentioned, Yikes and Caps, I think are two to keep an eye on, and for sure also Vo and Perks. So I think also Razork and Humanoid, like there is pretty strong mid jungles. I still think we are the best, but they are for sure like way harder competition than last year.
Final thing about Nisqy, because I'm sure his ego is getting strong enough. He's Akali reached his final power spike by solo killing Finn's K'Sante. K'Sante have seemed pretty damn oppressive at times. What has been your experience playing against them?
Remove this champion, like come on, like it's a tank that you can never catch this guy. Like he's gonna EW into third Q into EW again, then he will ult you through 4 different walls and one-shot you.
Yeah.
So just riot. Like.
It's also just the stats. It's like, oh, you're supposed to like drop your stats, become super aggressive with your AD, but you're still super unkillable while you do these things. So yeah, definitely one to look out for, but didn't really stop Mad Lions today from really exceeding. I think you guys had a great job in terms of just playing the game fundamentally. It didn't really look like, oh, big highlights play here and there. It's just like, well, we're stacking Drakes, we're just gonna come back. How was this game from your point of view? Were you sweating throughout any point of it, or did it just feel like a cruise in the park?
I think this game, I mean, felt easy because everything was going in our favor. Like, sure, not even like the first blood when they got the first blood on K'Sante. Like, we didn't even like panic at any point. I felt like we had this game in control and we liked our comp. We knew we had to flank. We just had to find those flanks. And in game, they weren't paying much attention to that. So I think it was an easy one, yeah.
I don't mean any disrespect to Astralis. I don't mean any respect to SK yesterday as well, right? But you will be going up against teams from a different caliber entirely in the likes of G2 and Vitality, etc. We were talking in the green room about the fact that last year you guys had some issues with mid-game direction, be it over-focusing, be it objective setup, be it whatnot. How do you think you're evolving in that department, or will you only know when you play those teams?
No, I think we have already taken a big step on that regard because I think Healy is making a really great job. I think the addition of Healy to this team is helping me so much in terms of shot call that I can focus much more in, let's say, team fights. And yeah, he's also, he's a really big help for us. So I feel like coming into these games, we are going to be way more prepared. Yeah, I think also, like, we and me as an individual also, we have improved so much compared to last year. So I don't have any, like, I'm not scared of mid games into good teams. I think we are going to always come out with the winning side.
I was reading an article with Mac right before this game finished as well. And he was kind of talking about how your team now, what was the sense of it with Chasy and Hylissang coming in the different voices. And he was talking about his responsibility as a coach. How do you feel like your responsibility as the team's jungler has changed now that these different pieces have come in?
Well, I wanna. I mean, I took a bigger step on this, and I want more than like a good player. I also want to be a good teammate to my team, and I think that I've been reading, I've been researching on how to boost your team and make them play better.
Yeah.
So I want to have as much pressure as I can. I want to make my team shine the most, and I mean, I want them to have the best performance when they are playing with me. So that's like, yeah, I think I'm taking like a lot of responsibility, and it's also what I like. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
It's awesome. I'm thinking back to the first time you were on the desk like a couple of years ago, and how different you are and how much you're evolving. It's awesome to see. Final thing though, you happy to have Carzzy back?
Of course.
Yeah, I know you guys get along really well. So
yeah. It's always. I mean, Carzzy is the one that I always like. I had the best relationship with, so I'm really glad that he's back. So yeah, I mean,
good vibes.
It's of course, it's a lot of fun.
Overall. Okay, lovely. Thank you so much, Elyoya, and we're gonna take.
I hope I hope they don't give MVP to Nisqy for this one, guys. Like there was a Sejuani not missing ultimates. Come on.
I don't know. He got it. Nisqy got it.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, he got it. Sorry. We're gonna take a quick break, but when we come back, it's Vitality versus Team Heretics.
Maybe next time Wukong again, not Sejuani. Yeah.